Okay, so it's early Sunday morning, and before a lot of kids get down in the park, I'm gonna get a video in. Um, I don't know which order I will post this video in. There's another video in which I took a minute or so to connect deeper within my inner being and then start the video. That's what I'm going to do right now. And then over time maybe I'll stop explaining this because you will know that this is what I do. So I'm just going to take less than a minute and then begin today's podcast. So the state that I just got in through whatever I did, that is an internal process. But this is the state that you could call tuned in, tapped in, turned on. This is how Esther Hicks puts it. I keep giving the source from where I heard what I heard. 2-3 reasons. One is that when you hear something, let's say you hear my essential core idea is explaining to people that everybody, every spiritual person, every religious person, every realized being, every true person, every person who is talking about life and is authentic and has had their own experience and journey is saying the same thing. This is what I have been out to prove in some way for the longest time, and not prove to somebody else, prove to myself. Because when I was a kid, I would say, Arey, Christians are saying worship Jesus, Muslims are saying worship Allah. As I was born in a Jain family, Jains are saying worship Mahavir or nothing. Like, who am I to worship? So many to worship. Which one to worship? Just because I'm born somewhere doesn't mean that is the one to worship. Now, there's a challenging mind will always do things like this. And there are many amongst us that were like that. Hindus are saying worship all of these. Like, what? They can't decide who their God is. As a kid, I had this question. And as I grew, this curiosity got some sort of like was my thirst was quenched. Curiosity's thirst was quenched by realizing that they are all saying the same thing. The true masters, not the religious folks that come later to just expand the business of the organization. I'm not talking about those people. The true masters are all saying the same thing. And what is that same thing? So why do I give sources of who said what? I don't have to, because I'm only giving an advice or I'm only sharing an idea here because I have imbibed it within me. The reason I give sources is if that particular idea speaks to you, you can go listen to that person. Because focusing on one teaching will help you get somewhere much faster, unlike what I did in my journey where I listened to everybody and nobody at the same time. So that's one reason why I give sources. The other reason is that I call myself a curator. I am that person who will come here and tell you that this idea is great from this person, this idea is great from this person, this idea is great from that person. Thirdly, because if Esther is saying tuned in, tapped in, turned on, Esther Hicks, if somebody else is saying connecting to the divine, if somebody else is calling it the higher mind, Bashar calls it the higher mind, if people are calling it state of flow, if people are calling it miracle of God, it is all one thing. So again, it's rooted in understanding myself and explaining and bringing to you that it is all one thing. And since I'm on the topic of curation, even though it's not related to why I share sources, while I'm on the topic of curation, there is so much stuff on YouTube that we all listen to because, oh, I'm going to listen to this and I'm going to be awesome. And then it ends up giving you more stress than awesomeness. Because Sadhguru is saying one thing, B.K. Shivani is saying another thing, everybody is saying different things. No, they're not saying different things. They're using their own terminology. And like when B.K. Shivani says, "Dhyan yahan rakhna hai," that and tuned in, tapped and turned on, same thing, right? So the job of the curator is to sort of bring about, to draw like a thread across all of this. That if you're listening to multiple people, if you're like me, if your search is like me, because you're curious, and you should be, I'm not going to discourage that, then these notes, as in the form of my podcast, will help you. So even when Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita tells Arjun about Nishkam Karm, selfless action, he's saying the same thing. When you're tuned in, tapped in, turned on, you are automatically doing selfless action. When are you even doing selfish action, right? When are you, think about COVID. COVID was a time when सबके true colors got seen by themselves more than anybody else. It's not about, we saw what happened in America and how people were being with toilet papers. And it's so ridiculous because it's about toilet papers. Like, it's not even about food. It's about the other and other destiny of food, right? And we also saw what people did in parts of India where they were helping out their neighbors, or we saw, and I'm not drawing a comparison between America and India. I don't like doing that. It's not a country thing, it's an individual thing at the end of the day. But what I'm trying to say is that because in India there were hoarders and in America there were helpers. I'm not saying one place is better than the other ever. That's a very narrow view. But what I'm saying is that we saw examples of how people got into a lack mindset. Ooh, this is not working, this is not working, this is not working. And how people also got into an abundant mindset. ठीक है, अब the ones that accepted the situation that COVID is there, and I from helpers in Gurgaon, I heard there used to be lines outside our condo on the first, second, third, fourth, because these helpers were stuck. They couldn't go back to their villages. They were stuck in lines and queues, and they were just calling. Some of them were calling their didis, their employers, and saying, please कुछ तो पैसे दे दो, हम काम पर तो नहीं आ सकते, आपका building ही नहीं allow कर रहा. I'll translate that. Your building is not allowing us to come and work. We will come. Please give us some money. I heard cases like that where people were like, you're not coming to work, I'm not going to give you anything. They didn't care about the fact that how is this woman going to sustain her family while they were sitting and drawing salaries from their office, by the way. And then there were other people who were like, you don't come, where are you? I'll send money into your account. Can I send you something extra? Can I give you some extra food? Right? So then there were people that accepted that COVID is a situation, accepted that this woman can't come to work and clean my house, accepted that this is the situation, and they went with it. They went with the flow of it. And then there were people who didn't do that. There were people who were like, I don't know why I have to go through this shit. I don't know. And then they kept blaming outside of them. This is this person's fault, this is this person's fault. And then conspiracy theories. This is this is the government, and maybe it is, I don't care. What I'm trying to say is that you were put in a situation and how did you handle it. So anyway, I was wanting to make this podcast on a topic which I will resume and make it about that, but I'll maybe do a part 2 of it later, which is, this is a single player game. What does that mean? This, meaning this life, this experience that you're living, is a single player game. You want to point fingers, if we continue with the COVID example, at everybody in the world for something that goes wrong in your life, and you're not willing to look inside, you're not willing to turn and say, what can I do? What have I done so far to create this reality? That's important. Let that sink in. To many people, that may come as a shock. Huh? I created this for myself? No, I didn't create this. This is what God wanted. The ones that love God. And I love God a lot. But loving God does not mean you are done with your responsibility of living your life well. So, yeah. This, meaning this life, this experience that you are having, this is a single player game, right? This life is what this means, is a single player game. Single as in one. You are responsible for your entire world. How you are feeling, how people are treating you, how your relationships are shaping up, what you are getting from life, what you are not getting from life, what you are enjoying, what you are not enjoying. All of this boils down to one. That is you, the listener. Then you will say, no, this was so clearly done by my father. This was so clearly done by my wife. This was so clearly done by my children. This was clearly done by my boss. Yes. But how did you respond to it? Based on how you responded to it is how your reality shaped up. In Hindi, in Hindi is not the right way to put it, in Hindu culture, and I guess I wouldn't be able to point out like if this is a part of Vedant, if this is a part of sanskars that are taught, like I don't understand the bifurcations too well. I understand words and definitions, I've taken the time to understand well. So please pardon me and don't fight with me about, no, I didn't say this, or this sect didn't say this. I don't know, and I'm trying to close the gaps now. I'm trying to remove the gap between Christianity and Hinduism and Jainism and humanism and atheism and all of this. So I don't understand all the sects within then one religion. So please don't come to me up for that. But the way this is explained, what I said, you are the creator of whatever life experience you're having at this point and have had so far. There is a concept called Prarabdh Karm. Prarabdh Karm means this had to happen in my life. That's what it is explained away as. This had to happen in my life. This much suffering I had to have. And people go on living their sad, sorry lives using Prarabdh as an excuse. They don't realize that yes, there is something that had to happen in the course of your life, right? You started as baby and still things happened at baby. So what are you saying, Chetna? As a baby, I was creating my reality when I didn't even know where my milk was coming from and who my milk provider was, like when I didn't know any of these details? Yes, but no. For the sake of this conversation, I'm not saying. I'm saying that when you were a baby, there were things that were happening, and yes, they were Prarabdh Karm. But you eventually became an adult. And at that point, at some point, you gained the power to start shifting around your Prarabdh. to start taking responsibility, to say that, oh, this happens in my life again and again and again and again, and it manifests in new ways. It manifests in ways where I don't even, I can simply sit and pretend like those two situations were not the same situations, but I within me felt exactly the same kind of shit. Within me, I felt exactly the same kind of hurt. And despite that, I'm saying this is not something for me to do something about. When you reach there, that's when you can do something about your Prarabdh Karm. So, well, I am not doing justice describing Prarabdh Karm, and I don't mean to at all claim that I understand fully how this complex system of karma works. What I know is karma simply means action, but there is a complex web of karma, and it works in certain ways. I am not claiming to know that or anything at all. All I do is sit in front of the computer and share what I have learned in my life, and share what has helped me. I don't even make any claims that it will help you. If when you listen to this, it speaks to you, listen to it more. If it speaks to you so much that you want to come and work with me, send me an email. If it speaks to you that you want to listen to my videos, my email will be in the description box. If it speaks to you so much that you want to listen to more of my videos, subscribe to my channel. If it speaks to you and you want to listen to even more in-depth analysis of separate individual ideas, subscribe to my Hindi podcast called Maya Mukti Podcast. I will link it below in the description. I'm not very fancy yet, so I don't know how those boxes turn up. Maybe eventually. I'm learning every day. What I'm saying is this is a single player game. And if it is a single player game, then there is one stakeholder. And that stakeholder is you, the listener. Now I'm going to contradict myself. While it is a single player game from your point of view, from your point of experience, from your point of existence, it is one play. The entire thing is one play. And in that one play, there are things that are happening. And you're not the player when you look at it. When you shift up the game, when you change the perspective and you play that game. For that, refer to a video which I have posted called Know Thyself. I will link that also below. That's a separate conversation. Without denying that, without denying the oneness of the wave, without denying the unity of the world, what I am saying is that you have a role to play in how you experience your life. No matter the happenings of your life, things will always happen. That is a part of the bigger, that is a part of the ocean. But how you as a wave respond to what happens, and how therefore the next wave impacts you, and the next wave impacts you, and the next cycle impacts you, and the next cycle impacts you, that bit is in your hand. So I feel I have contradicted myself in every which way possible, and that's what every philosopher will do. But a good philosopher will do this, switch this off, and go and be happy, and will not have this continuous philosophy running in their mind. Because truth can never be shared in words. Again, something that Esther says, words don't teach, only experiences do. So, well, she doesn't say the second part, I'm adding it. Words don't teach. But if you can catch the state in which I try to get you in, if you can catch the subtlety, if you can catch what I'm saying with the context of what I'm not saying, then you will truly get it. If you can't catch it, and if you can just catch what I'm saying, you will definitely get something, and you will be able to apply that to your life in a positive way. if you choose to. My saying and your listening is just step 1, Shravana. Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. Shravana is listening. Manana is contemplating. What did she say? Going back into your life and saying, she spoke for 20 minutes. I'll wrap this up as this is the last point for me. What did she say? She said, I should listen and then I should contemplate. Now don't get stuck there. Listen to the fact that I said listen and then contemplate and then contemplate. And then see, every time you listen and contemplate, you actually get better results than when you just listen as this is another piece of advice, this is another piece of advice, this is another piece of advice. So listen and contemplate. Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. I've heard 2 different definitions of Nididhyasana being given to me. One is assimilate, which is how I understood it after listening to this word for many years. Another interesting word I heard from my yoga teacher, who I'm doing my Maya Mukti podcast with, was he said letting it go. It's actually the same thing. He's putting it as तुमने कुछ सुन लिया, you heard something, you contemplated on it and then you forgot about it. What he's actually saying is assimilation, looked at differently. It's now in you. Now you don't need the cover. The words were the cover. Now why do you need the cover? Why do you need the words? So the mind can forget about it because now it's in you. So it's the same thing. This is why Curator. This is exactly why Curator, because you will hear Nididhyasana and one person is saying it means to assimilate, right? It sounds like it means to keep, it means to hold. And another person is saying it means to forget. So which one is it? No. Put things in the right context. When you experience everything in your life, you will be able to do this also. When you make things experiential rather than theoretical, you will be able to do what I'm doing here for the audience and truly for myself. Everybody, this is a single player game. Everybody is always only doing everything for themselves. Go look at what Sadhguru is doing and then see what he says. He says, I set out with a dream and I have failed at my dream. I wanted to change the whole world and get everybody to be enlightened, and I have reached only a certain percentage. So who is he doing? Whose work is he doing? Please don't come at me. I love him. But understand, this is a single player game. Everybody is only doing things for themselves. The thing that needs to be understood is we have the same word. In English especially, we use the same word to mean multiple things. And that really messes up how we understand what others are saying. That's why Hindi and Sanskrit are considered supreme languages, but people only know English largely today. And people have lost the purity of Hindi and Sanskrit. So maybe even then, that's why there is the need for a curator that I sense, and I feel more and more people are coming up as that. So anyway, keep it simple. Keeping it simple. I have spoken about a lot of topics. There is a lot there to think about. Even I can, when I think of all of it and I think of it just from my mind, I'm like, my God, I've said so much. Are people going to understand? Are people not going to understand? Don't make anything that I share work. This is another thing I will repeat as often as I remember to. Don't make what I give you work. Listen to it, see what struck, see what attracted you, and whatever attracted you, try and listen to it, contemplate it, and then assimilate it or let it go once it is nicely assimilated within you. And observe the impact. Observe the impact, not because I want you to become calculative in your life. Observe the impact because without observing the impact, you won't know if a system is working. Until you don't know a system is working, you will not have the confidence to keep working with that system. I feel this is my time to end my recording. Thank you for listening to me. Really, thank you for listening to me. It's a blessing for me when you listen to me. It motivates me to make more videos, and it also helps me clarify my concepts, and it helps me do my work with my clients better. and it helps me help you. Like, it's such a nice ecosystem that we all create together when you listen to me. If you want to keep listening to me, please subscribe. And if you want me to talk about certain topics, if you want me to answer certain questions, write them in the comments, email me. If you want to work with me, also email me. And that's that. Okay, bye.